YouTube bass fishing is dead. Seems to be a topic of the last couple of days. So I thought I'd shed some light on it. I saw a video yesterday from the homeless fisherman saying something to that vein, YouTube bass fishing is dead. And then I just got done watching Randy Blockett posted a video about this. And his video was titled something like big changes to his channel or something, but the topic was about how YouTube bass fishing is dead. And to be honest with you, that was one reason why this channel was never solely a bass fishing channel. For one, I have too many hobbies when it comes to outdoors, so I don't just bass fish, and I'm more of a fair weather bass fisherman, and I don't really have a lot to teach about bass fishing. I'm like you guys. I watch YouTube. I learn about a bait. I go out and buy the baits and I use the baits. I don't compete. You know what I mean? I was like, there's already enough people doing it. And I think that's one of the big issues here. Randy in his video had said that he's been doing the YouTube bass fishing thing for the last 4 or 5 years. And 5 years ago, what was going on? COVID. And there was a lot more people that were consuming YouTube, and a lot more people got into outdoorsy stuff during COVID. We saw a big boom in the archery scene. I'm really big into archery. Archery YouTube channels exploded, just like bass fishing YouTube channels exploded. A lot of people either maybe it was something on their bucket list, like one day I'd like to get into shooting archery, or one day I'd like to get into shooting bows and doing that kind of stuff. And during COVID, there was a lot of people sitting on the couch. Companies were forced to pay them, so they still had a source of income, or they were smarter with their money than the rest of us, mainly me, and had money. Luckily, during COVID, I didn't miss one single day of work, not even when the entire shop had COVID. We all worked through it. We're like, well, you're sick and I'm sick. We might as well just be sick together and get this damn work done. Anyways, so that whole scene just became super saturated with people doing it. People were getting into fishing. In fact, I got a couple of rod and reels that I had bought off a guy after COVID. Maybe it was 2022. Really nice Daiwa rod and reel combos that maybe $400 combos. I picked up for $150, and he had brought them to my house. And when I asked him, why in the world are you selling? It still had the first spool of line he ever put on the reel. And I'm like, why are you selling this gear so cheap? Hard times? He was like, nope, COVID, sitting on the couch. We live close to a lake. He lived in the area. We live close to a lake, and he wanted something to do. He got into it with his son. Him wasn't really for them. They're getting rid of all their gear. He had a whole list of things on OfferUp that he was selling, stuff I didn't need or stuff that he had already sold. So that was a lot of it. A lot of it were people that were just bored sitting at home looking for an outdoor hobby and looking for information, going on YouTube and looking up information. Now, I think a lot of Randy's brand has been a 40-year veteran of the sport, and there's a demographic of people of his generation that can relate to the good old times, that don't consume as much YouTube content as guys of my generation or younger than me. I watch a ton of YouTube. I have an earbud in my ear pretty much all day while I'm at work. I work at a desk now. So I got my phone propped up and I'm watching videos all day, mainly political stuff, but depends. Lately, I've been into firearms. So I've been watching a bunch of stuff about firearms. I want to get into competitive shooting. So I've been consuming a lot of that content. However, I'm subscribed to a bunch of channels, right? And when it's springtime, what am I watching? I'm watching fishing channels. When it's fall time like this, what am I watching? Bow hunting channels. And everything in between. You know, I shoot archery year round. Anyways, so I think that's a lot of what Randy is, he's talking about how his numbers are down and how all of his other fishing friends are saying the exact same things. So what I see is going on is everyone got this artificial rise to success during COVID. And now a lot of those people went back to work or realized fishing wasn't for them and just don't have the time to consume as much content. And when you put out a ton of videos, one of the veterans, the OGs, the people that I don't think we're ever gonna have an issue making money on YouTube content is Tactical Bassin. Those guys have been around for a really long time, and they went about it a way different way, where they are tackle junkies, so they're buying a lot of gear, they're trying out a lot of gear, people are sending them a lot of gear so they can fish it. They spend a ton of time on the water, they guide, they get to use these baits, they get to let customers use these baits, and then they get to talk about them and you know, have links tied to their stuff. And they've been in from the very beginning. The problem is too many people try to copy them. Now, every single YouTube channel I subscribe to, and even ones I don't subscribe to, have 5 baits of November or whatever, you know, fall fishing top 5 baits. And they all get to the exact same baits. Pretty much, it's always the same. Every once in a while, there's an outlier. Somebody throws in a bait you weren't expecting, but it was just a different topwater. Instead of a frog, it was a, you know, spy bait or a walking bait or something. You know what I mean? So it's just like too much of the same content. I don't need to watch 10 different videos on chatterbaits. Now, don't get me wrong, I do, because I want to hear other perspectives. But what I've come to learn is I always end up at the exact same conclusion. No matter how many videos I watch on how many different concepts or different techniques or whatever, I always end up at the exact same spot every time. So it's like, why don't I just watch one channel that actually has a link directly to the bait that I want? Now, another issue with YouTube content is, like I said, Randy's a 40. I'm not going to just harp on Randy too. I'm also going to talk about the homeless fisherman and what he's got going on and whatever other channels out there that are saying the same thing about bass fishing, you know, YouTube being dead. You know, he's a 40-year veteran of the sport, but he's not entertaining. You can be the most knowledgeable, and most people are. I'll tell you right now, some of the smartest people that I've worked with in my field of, well, not my field now, but when I was building off-road race cars, some of the smartest guys I knew and the people I learned the most from would make terrible content creators. So just because you're good at, some people are good at teaching and some people are good at doing. And the guy that's good at teaching and doing are a rare breed. So people want to watch YouTube to learn. Like I said, I've recently got into wanting to get into competitive shooting, and I've learned a ton about firearms. I've been around guns my whole life, but just like the competitive world, the competitive side of it and stuff like that. So I search up specific things I want to see. And, you know, much like all the other industries, it's just getting saturated with people doing it. You know, every professional bass fisherman, pretty much all their sponsors want them to have a big following on social media and a big presence on social media. But most professional bass fishermen aren't entertaining people, period. It's a sad reality of it. They're just not entertaining to watch. There's many high-level fishermen that you can't watch their videos. They're too dry. They're too whatever, too monotone, and it's hard to watch them. So there's just too much saturation in the market. You have to be an outlier, and outliers I can think of like Oliver Nye. He's a guy that has reached an audience that I can relate to. The flat bill skater kid from Southern California making bass fishing cool, throwing big baits. You know what I mean? Like his whole brand, his whole ethos is hitting my generation of guys. You know what I mean? And Randy doesn't appeal to people like me. I don't think I've ever watched an instructional video from him where I went away going, man, I'm glad I learned that from Randy. Not one time. That and, he built, a lot of his brand was built on hating forward-facing sonar. And a lot of people were like, yeah, Randy, finally someone's sticking up and fighting back against this forward technology, forward-facing sonar. Shut up about it. It's just every other video, it's the same thing. And I actually was talking to another guy, Grid Motorsports, the other day. I called into his show. He does a political show, but he also bass fishes. He reached out to me when I had challenged Randy to that debate about climate change. I think it was something like that. And I called into his show the other day, and we were talking about it. And I can't understand how Randy has 160,000 subscribers, yet all of his videos, if you go back to all of his videos over the last couple of weeks, they don't break 10,000 views. That's a small percentage of his subscribers that just aren't watching his channel or watching. So either a couple of things, maybe he bought a bunch of subscribers, which people do. Should have bought views because they're more important than subscribers. But yeah, I mean, he's just not getting the view counts. It could just be he puts out too many videos. He puts out like 2 or 3 videos a day, and the YouTube algorithm both rewards that. However, the viewers don't. Because when you're subscribed to 10 channels and everyone puts out multiple videos a day or multiple videos a week, and you have a normal job, you don't have time to watch them all. Me personally, I listen more than I watch. Like, I don't need to watch you doing something necessarily. I like to listen to the information. So even when I'm working in the garage, I have a video going, I'm listening to it. But not everybody's like that. Some people can't do that at work. So that could be one reason, and a lot of people are still subscribed to his channel because they want him to have the subscriber. Because I do that. There's people that I don't really care to listen to or watch their videos, but I like them as a person. Maybe they're a friend of mine, or maybe I just like what they do. I just don't necessarily need to watch all their videos. I'll stay subscribed to them because it helps their channel out. So maybe that's why he has a high view count or high subscriber count and low view counts, because a lot of people subscribed and just stayed subscribed just to be nice. Who knows? But, now I've mentioned Homeless Fisherman posted out the same video about YouTube bass fishing being dead. Clickbait. Sorry, I almost skipped over that. Go through Randy's comments. Most of the comments and most of his videos are like, dude, stop with the clickbait. Stop clickbaiting. I do my best. I had one guy call me out on clickbait, and I'm like, please tell me in my video and in my title where I clickbaited you into watching, because I, as a consumer of YouTube content, can't stand being clickbaited into watching a video. So I don't do it. Most likely the first sentence or two that I say in the beginning of the video is gonna be what's in the title. Period. Both of my channels that I have, I try not to clickbait. I want people to find my channel and watch it and be like, man, I like what this guy's talking about. I like what this guy has to say. I'm gonna subscribe to it. We all understand how social media works. You subscribe to stuff you like videos you like. I don't ever ask for subscriptions. I don't ever ask for likes. You guys know how it works. So if you want to like it, like it. You want to subscribe to it, subscribe to it. It's appreciated. I'm going to keep making the content that I find is important. That's why I didn't turn this into a bass fishing only channel. I turned this into whatever I'm messing with at the moment. You know, a lot of us guys, when we're working on things, we're having these inner monologues about doing stuff. I just thought I'd put it on film and put it out there because I'm already having the conversation in my head while I'm doing it. You know, I'm out here, you see you messing with some arrows. I'm out here messing with some arrows. I'll do a video about archery. In fact, I haven't posted in a while. I started a video about tuning my hunting bow back there. I just haven't finished it and put it out. It's just, I don't know, you know, I just haven't got to it. But yeah, I think, you know, the homeless fisherman, you know, he's very unique in his content. You know, there's not a lot of people doing paddleboard fishing. There's not a lot of people, you know, there's guys out there that envy that guy, you know. He lives in a van, no responsibilities, no kids, no wife, drives around in his van, blows his paddleboard up, and gets to fish all these cool spots, cool companies like Throwback, you know, sending baits and G-Crack, and he's living the dream. You know what I mean? Like, his videos are rad because of that reason, because of what he's doing. But it sounds like his channel is also not doing as good as it used to be. We are heading into fall. It's getting cold. Everyone's getting their bows together. Everyone's sighting their rifles in. You know, so, you know, view counts are going to go down. And YouTube is just not interested in paying anymore. You know, I watch a lot of political stuff, and a lot of these content creators are complaining about the same thing, about YouTube not wanting to pay for content or just pay. You know, there's a lot of channels that are struggling. You can't just keep making the same thing over and over and over and over again and expect it to work from here until the end of time. That's just not how the world works. And I hate to break it to you, Randy, but all your content's the same. You do the same thing over and over again. It's a clickbait title, and then you barbecued in your garage. Don't try to bullshit me. Drone on about some BS. You know what I mean? So I don't know. This is just my opinion on what I see happening. I think the industry is just, the whole YouTube bass fishing scene is just too watered down. I think Randy's core audience is an older demographic, not the younger demographic that watches a lot of YouTube content. And, you know, tournament bass fishing isn't that entertaining. People just like to do weekend stuff. I like to, you know, go on YouTube and learn how to throw a chatterbait and stuff like that. You know, Randy doesn't do any on the water stuff. He just sits in his garage, much like I'm doing here, and just drones on about whatever he feels like talking about, which is rad. However, when you make it your sole source of income, or one of your biggest sources of income, you need to figure out how to make it entertaining and make it new, or people are just going to tune out. It's pretty much the long and short of it. Yeah. You know, I never really had intentions on making this like a career or anything. I just wanted to talk about things I wanted to talk about, much like Randy did. But once you get to a level of success and you're making money at it, it's hard to not feed the demon. You know what I mean? It's hard to not get audience captured. My other channel, you want to learn about how I ended up becoming as humble as I am today, considering I'm not very humble. Go over and watch the Fallen Heathen channel, and you'll see where my ego got crushed, how my ego got crushed. It's easy to get audience captured, and you do a video that everybody likes and you get a ton of views. You're like, I'm just going to keep leaning into that. And then eventually people just tune out, and it's hard to not fall into that trap. And I've done my best. You know, I did a video the other day talking about a couple of political debaters that I like on my other channel, and it got a ton of views. I think it's up to like 3,000 views. And then I did a video the next day talking about something way more, what I thought was way more important, way more personal. And it tanked, got like 30 views. So it's like, do I keep leaning into the stuff that's getting me the views? It's hard. Yeah, my suggestion to the bass fishing YouTube community is maybe this ride is over. You know, it's just not what it was in 2020, 2021, 2022, when everyone was consuming a ton of content, when COVID was going on. It's kind of just reached its peak, and now it's on the downswing. I mean, I'm going to continue making content about whatever it is I'm messing with at the time, archery, pistol, or, you know, firearms, bass fishing, whatever I'm doing at the time, because it's entertaining to me. If it turned into something, that would be sweet. Problem is, when you have to keep showing the sponsors view counts, it becomes a job like anything else. And then you just put out mediocre content trying to get clicks, trying to clickbait people into watching your content. And that's just the nature of the beast. So that's what I think is going on with the bass fishing YouTube world. I think it's just oversaturated, and there's just not that many people into the sport as much as they were 4 or 5 years ago, even 3 years ago. A lot of people went back to life. A lot of people realized it wasn't for them. I'm sure the archery community, I guarantee you in the next month or so, I'm going to see a bunch of the archery channels I follow saying, you know, YouTube archery is dead. There was a big peak. It's gone. It's gone. Anyways, that's just my opinion. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time.